2 for felliness, belysning.
You are not broken. You are out of balance. And there is a path home.
This is for felliness, belysning.
From the Alaska ulfhednar.
Ancestral morning light for those
who have been through hell
and are still standing.
This nonprofit has a sliding scale guidance
at ulfhednar.org/guidance
for felliness belysning.
Begins now.
Every day, someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great-grandmother, elder disappears, shattering a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them.
Hello, and happy Tuesday to you. God Morgan, I hope this week is going along wonderfully for those of you who celebrate the Christian Christmas. May this week be blessed. May you have all the love and joy that you desire and deserve. Right? Today I want to talk about the courage of us. We're going to talk about two pieces of our courage. We're going to talk about first the inside courage, and then we'll talk about what I call the external or outside courage. They are equally important to our mental health and certainly to our connection to the ancestors. Before we get started today, I want to give a huge thank you to all of you who have liked, followed, subscribed us on any platform. Pick one, whether it be nonprofit radio, whether it be our friends and family at newrealitytv.com, all of which dedicated to bringing you a different in perspectives, whether it be the indigenous views of native cultures around the world, everywhere throughout the world, every corner, every nook and cranny, whether it be right down your street. They all come together under some very simple universal truths that extend beyond all of them. So please embrace whatever it is that you call upon, and be courageous. Today we're going to talk about just that. We're going to talk about courage, and we're going to talk about it at a multitude of levels, just two, because they're so important to our everyday mental health. So the first courage that I want to address today is that courage, external courage. What is external courage? Now, many have told me that courage is fearlessness. It's the ability to cast aside fear and to not allow fear to control our path. Well, that's not entirely true. Courage recognizes fears. It does. It embraces them. It knows what's at stake. Courage is not the ability to walk away from this overwhelming emotional state called fear. That's not what courage is. Courage is when we say, I recognize the fear, I give the fear value, but yet I am still going to proceed forward. So fear is really the ability and the willingness to go beyond where fear would normally prevent us from going. Fear in of itself cannot dictate our lives. It is simply a warning. It is simply a perception of what lies ahead. It is not real. Fear is simply the manifestation of imagination through a particular lens. That's what fear is. Fear may not be based in fact. We know by science by many different psychological models that there are fears that many of us may inhabit or allow that we've never experienced. I my One of my sons is kind of overtly concerned, maybe even a little more extreme concern about spiders, about particularly large spiders, such as the huntsman of Australia or even the tarantulas of the Southwest. He's never experienced one. He's never had a tarantula climb over his flesh, and he's certainly never been bitten by either and or both. So why does he have these fears? Well, these fears, they can come to us for a multitude of reasons. Firstly, the biggest one that I have found is some ancestral knowledge that's been passed to him. Now, if we remember, and I think the best way here is for me to pick up a pen here. The pen, this is, we'll say, our thread in our existence. We are woven into the loom of existence. We have a singular thread, but we are never alone. Our ancestors, like additional threads, are bundled around us, are woven around us, through us. We are simply one thread in a fairly large clan, fairly large community. Those threads bring with them these impulses, for lack of a better word, that are then placed, remember, in the well of the self. They are the values, virtues, and belief systems that we will base our interpretation of all of our experiences on as they come through our sensory input. They are no different than anything else. We have the potential to now extract that rock, cast it out, and say, why is this why is it causing me distress? Well, I don't know about you, but I have had tarantulas climb upon me. I've never had a huntsman, but I've had some pretty big spiders that have used my flesh as transport from one location to another. And there was never any worry, any concern. I didn't particularly attempt to agitate the fellow soul. I simply allowed it to transport itself from one location to another. I just happened to be between those points. Fear is the same way. Fear is something that, as I mentioned, may come to us from the ancestors, and we have no basis in fact. And we simply have to recognize that. We have to recognize that there are those fears that are given to us, maybe even by our parents, maybe by friends, maybe by loved ones. They will pass along these fears, these worries, these concerns. They will mask them in concern and worry and societal influence, whatever, right? So they're going to cover it, sugarcoat it, put a nice layer of frosting on it. But nonetheless, it is a fear that they have that they're passing on. Does this same fear apply to us? No. No, it probably doesn't. We may never experience spiders. I live here in southwest Alaska, or south central Alaska, sorry. I visit all over the state, of which I am blessed to do. And when I'm visiting, I run into, particularly during the summer months, not as much during the winter, but certainly during the summer, lots of spiders. They're everywhere. They live just like we do. And I say, well, does this bother you? Yes, this oh my gosh, and there's a spider that's outside here, even in here in Anchorage. It's a fairly large spider. It has its very long legs, and it's doing its thing. It's living its life, its existence, and it will not eat or bite anything flesh related. And I tried to tell my son, this this creature is simply wanting to live its life like you are wanting to live yours. It has no different ambitions and all of this nonsense, and it doesn't see you as a threat. It lives its life. When I was a boy, we called them daddy long legs. And in much the same way, I exhibited even back then. I recognized their need to live as well. So super important. So fear is an external force that reduces our courage or presents us an opportunity to exhibit courage. Now, courage from an internal or an intrinsic thought process is simply the separation of fact versus fiction. We have to look at each of our fears and go, what exactly is it that's creating this emotional state? Because we're doing it to ourselves. Our imagination is feeding remember, when we talk about the thought process, our imagination is structured on top of wisdom. So if you think about a sandwich that you're building, our experiences, our emotional energies tied within the brain, imagery of particular things and events that occurred, all of these are stored within the brain. Laying on top of that, of course, is this overfield that we're building called wisdom. And then on top of that now is this thing called imagination. Well, imagination is simply taking wisdom and now forecasting, looking forward, pushing it towards more of what will happen based on what we know happened, right? So it's imagination is looking forward. So it's taking the ideas and we're now construing them in such a way that this could happen based on what happened back there. And so that's imagination. Well, imagination is now feeding into your sensory input. So as you're seeing things, about 40% of what you see is actually your imagination. It's not what you actually experienced. 60% of this sensory input is what you experienced, but 40% is imagination. So it's super critical that we separate fact from fiction. What did we just see? No. What did we really just see? Right? Right? So this is external courage. Super important. Now, intrinsic courage, which is the second of the two courages that we're talking about today. The second courage is intrinsic, and it's when we decide to look past in much the same way that we did thinking about the first courage. Now we're going to look inside for the second courage. Okay? And in much the same way, we will have imagination that will provide for us this shield of who we are, of what we're about, of being small and maybe to some level afraid of who we are at our core, what we believe, what are our virtues, our values, and our belief systems that make us who we are, that provide for us this emotional state and this emotional management in response to experiences incurred through the sensory input. It's very, believe it or not, it's actually very simple. If we allow our imagination to dictate what we see. It helps to interpret our sensory input in such a way that it more or less represents that imaginative state. That then is processed through our mood ring, how we feel, and then down into our well of the self. When it reaches the well of the self, it's now fed by all of these things, by these imaginative, um, emotional states. It's all going to feed into this sensory input, this experience. And it's going to alter it, it's going to change it, it's going to manipulate it. That's what it does, that's its job. Now, when we get through the well of the self to the absolute bottom of the well, we find that the well converts the bioenergy that was created when our sensory input, our audio input, our skin, our touch, our taste, our smell, converted to a form that can be transmitted through the body, through the nerve cells of the body. It's going to convert it to what's called bioenergy. This bioenergy is then going to pass through the body, and it's going to arrive at the well of the self. At the well of the self is going to duplicate the bioenergy as biochemistry. Now you've got your body involved, right? So you've got hormones being released into the system, all kinds of different balances and different compositions. In addition, you have what's in your body, your natural state. What is your pH balance? What is already in your system because of the last experience? All of these things are going to alter then that biochemistry that's created. All right? So the biochemistry is going to, and the way my ancestors described it, it made perfect sense because it percolates up through the body from the heart, it percolates up, and then it will arrive at this thing called the horn of feeling. Now, the horn of feeling is the opposite. It's going to convert it back from biochemistry back to bioelectricity, or back to this bioenergy, to then store in memory. The moment it arrives at the horn of feeling, there is a gate, if you will, into the horn of feeling. And at that gate is what my ancestors referred to as the recipe card. A card at which we have written our whole entire lives, which says if the chemical composition looks like this, then if we look at up on the chart, we see that looks like happiness. And we can now say, oh, all right, so drop some happy energy in there and stuff it into the horn of feeling. Those things are up to us. We can manage the imagination. We can manage our virtues, values, and belief systems. And to a degree, we can manage the chemical composition within our bodies. All of these things play a role. One of the other keys here is, as we get to this recipe card, we can alter that too. It's not written in pen, right? So it's written in pencil. So we just turn that rascal over, we erase what was there, and we say, no, that's not anger. That's not anger that we're feeling. It's passion, or it's embarrassment, or it's something. But it doesn't have to be anger. We just erase that. And we can do that. We have the authority to manage every step of the thought process and all along the way. We can do that. We can train ourselves. Much like we will train ourselves how to respond, we can train ourselves to respond differently. It makes no difference what we're discussing. When we think about intrinsic courage, one of the things that we're going to have to do is be willing to put away our masks, put away the shields, the ego, the worry of we're not good enough, we're not this, we're not measuring up to someone else's bar somehow. Put all that away. when you're deciding to communicate and understand your virtues, values, and belief systems, the first thing we have to put away is the ego. Right? Stop measuring yourself to someone else's bar. You are unique. You are designed that way. You are designed to be absolutely different than anyone else who has ever lived or who will ever live. That's how unique you are. Your special combination of DNA and the chemical composition in your body and the way your body transmits the energy across the cells, all of that is unique to you. So, remembering that, of course, helps us to put away the ego and look at our virtues, values, and belief systems cleanly. What do we need? What do we represent? What do we want to be? When we decide what we want to be, this is really, we're going in and we're pulling out rocks. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to, have a virtue or a value that doesn't represent who I really am. Now, how do I know who I am? Well, that comes down to the authentic self. And we won't talk about it today, but it is a critical piece of who you are, is learning who your authentic self is. So that's a critical piece, and you'll know it when you feel it. Trust me, you'll know it. All right, so before we get too much further, we run out of time. I need to communicate with the gods today. We communicate with the God Tyr, that he may grant us wisdom and knowledge of today, that a guiding light, if you will, in our forward trajectory in this existence. So we will reach into the bag and we pull. Fehu. Fehu. Fehu is the very first rune of all the ets. It is part of Freya's et, and it is the first rune, which is, I think, proper because it represents to us new beginnings, new trajectories, new paths. It represents new life. Does that reflect upon you? I don't know. Each of us have our own journey. Each of us have different paths, different stones along our path that we must be at for us to see the next stone. I always think of our trajectory through life as those people that I see who are rock climbing, and they are always looking for that next handhold, right? And they realize they can't get to that handhold until they get to something a little closer. Same thing with our trajectory through life is as we go through and we experience something, when we are at that point, we're at that point because we have to be us to reach the next one. Whether we go up, down, around, over, up, down, in, out, whatever, we have to be at this point to reach the next one. If we're not at this point and we're down here, say, because of life's experience or our interpretation, then we have other handholds that we have to find. Okay? So that's really the trajectory through life, is that we're looking for that next handhold. What's available for our handheld. So super important. And Fehu, of course, tells us today represents a new beginning. So I encourage you to investigate your own new beginning. We're going to take a real quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk real quick about putting this knowledge, wisdom of our courage on the road for us today, that we may experience a life fully and embrace that which is worthy. So we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Wear your signal. Australian t-shirts, prints, designs that travel well. On studio to street. Find your fit. Saying the week in this description.
It's happening.
It's in the air.
The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me.
It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
NewRealityTV.com. Brew a calmer day. Mountain Rose Herbs brings organic teas and botanicals that you can feel good about. Explore the blends. Find the link in the description below.
These words are stirring something heavy in you. You don't have to carry it alone. Sliding Scale Spiritual Guidance with sessions outside normal business hours is available through the Alaska ulfhednar. Visit akulfhednar.org/guidance to book a free discovery session.
And welcome back. Thank you for taking that quick commercial break. Today I want to say that today's show is brought to you by fournseven-poster-frame. If you haven't had the opportunity, please do so. They have some amazing work, and they prepare it, they ship it, they get it to you in a really short amount of time, and it will absolutely change your haul. It will absolutely change your haul. So check them out, as well as all of our other wonderful affiliates at akumedia.akoutlaw.com/sponsors. So do check them out, as well as all the other wonderful affiliates, including NewRealityTV.com. So do check them out. Today we're talking about courage, and we're talking about putting it on the road. Today, how do we do that? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to remember you're not always going to be right. Get over it. Things are going to happen, and you're going to make mistakes, and that's kind of part of this experiment called life. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make decisions that looked right at the time, but then you know, of course, hindsight always being the best vision. You realize, bad idea. So there will be those decisions, but you have to make those decisions. So when you say, oh, well, I really messed up, I really blew it in that decision, that I shouldn't have gone that direction, you could take that front, or you could say, well, I learned that that's not where I wanted to be. But again, remember the example that we spoke of with the rock climber people. This really represents life, because from that handhold, now you can get to where you want to be. Okay. I'm reminded, much like, well, I should say much like all of you, I should say, there are those of us who have suffered through some form of addiction, and we tell ourselves, oh, it was such a horrible idea, I should have never done that, I should have seen it coming, I should have this, that, and the other thing. No, you couldn't have. All right? I'm here to tell you, because it would have presented itself another way. There would have been something else. Okay? It's done. You have the opportunity now to go in the direction that you want to go. You get to reach for the next handhold. You get to decide, are we going to continue to go down the path, or are we going to go up? You get to make that choice. That's the beautiful thing about this experience called life, is you get to make the choice, because ultimately the experience that you have of your path is yours. When you get to the spiritual realm at the end of this physical lifetime, those people who are holding you up and saying, oh, you're not measuring up to our standard, they won't be there. It'll be you. And you have to be content with who you are. You have to be happy with the accomplishments that you've made in this lifetime, and that's the goal. Don't be bashful. Don't be shamed. Why? You've made mistakes. We all have. And anyone who tells you they haven't is still in denial. They haven't got it yet. We will make mistakes. We're human. Not only do we have the pressures of sensory input, but we also have pressures of emotional input as well. We're emotional creatures. This is our understanding in this existence, is that we absorb these experiences and we manage them to create memories, to create perspectives. So give yourself a little break and realize that, yeah, it's not always going to be right, and that's okay. That's called learning. We learn not to do it again. We learn to grow from that opportunity. And remember your two forms of courage. Outside courage, the courage to be yourself, the courage to express who you are wherever you are. What you believe in. What are your virtues, values, and belief systems? Stick to them. Don't be muscled. Don't let influential energies push away who you are at your core. Your intrinsic energy that allows you to push ego aside and to actually see who you actually are authentically in the core of who you are. What are your virtues, values, and belief systems? And do they match what you want to be? Sometimes we're giving this, and we're never given the option. They just arrive, and they're in our well, and they start creating this pattern that I don't want to be there. I don't want to do that. I don't feel that's right. Throw out the stone. It's your well. You can do whatever you want with it. So think long and hard as we embrace the God tier today, of course, who exemplifies courage and moving forward in the face of this fear. Cast those fears aside. Cast that energy aside, that influential energy that will change you. Find you and be you. And remember, you are you're in the perfect place you are meant to be. Not where you wanted to be, maybe not where you could be, where you are supposed to be. The universe doesn't make mistakes. It provides us with opportunities, and it's up to each of us to grab those opportunities and to manage them for us, individually, for us. All right, my friends, I hope today's message has given you the courage to be you, to express and love and embrace and harmonize with all of our fellow life forms here on this plane of existence. I hope you spend some time getting to know who you really are and remembering always that you have the power. You have the authority. Use it. You control this. So embrace it. We will see you again tomorrow for the last of this week as we celebrate with those individuals who practice the Christian faith. We will celebrate Christmas with them. So we encourage each of you to embrace your loved ones and embrace your Christmases as well. I look forward to seeing you again on Mani's Day, where we will then again begin to embrace who we really are, where our courage lies, and where our path truly leads. So I will see you then. Until then, my friends, love and light, embrace, love, harmonize.
Gillerel, fulfilling us. Una, help us more, magnify. Two for Og, Galiot.
If what we've touched today hits something raw for you, you don't have to carry it alone. We offer a sliding scale spiritual guidance with sessions outside normal business hours. Visit akulfhednar.org/guidance to book a free discovery session.